Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be illustrating how to set up a pivot table and how to work with a pivot table in Excel 2010. So a pivot table is a great way to look at a lot of data. As you can see, the worksheet that I'm working on right here, I'll scroll all the way down to the bottom. You can see I have 751 rows of data. Now, no one can possibly look through that and ascertain what is really going on. So pivot table is a great way to sum up and perform a lot of mathematical calculations to help ascertain what is really going on with this entire spreadsheet. So a little bit of information on the spreadsheet that I'm working with. This has to do with sales regions, performance that each sales region has done from 2008 to 2012. Has as you can see, the headings here. We have customer ID, so each one of these records is uniquely identified. We've collected the data. We've got the average, or the each visit, how much is spent. So it's very useful information. So we'll go ahead and get started. First thing that we want to do is go to our Insert tab, and then we'll go to our Pivot Table drop down, and we'll select Pivot Table. And hold on a second, we want to make sure that we select the worksheet. I always put it, highlight the cell A1. Now we can select Pivot Table. So now we drop down and Pivot Table. You can see what Excel does. It automatically, by default, selects this worksheet. So it starts from A1 and goes all the way to cell G751. So we know that is correct, and that's what we want for right now. So hit OK. So you can see this window. It pops up automatically. And we can easily take our fields. You can see this is a pane that we use. The fields are right here. We can take these fields and pull them over into the respective pane if we wanted to. What I like to do is I like to change the layout, how this looks. So I'll go to Options right here, drop down, then I'll select Options again. And I'll go to Display tab. And this is what I like to see. The classic pivot table layout allows us to drag these fields over here. You can see just a little bit. So there we have it. Okay, so now we have the column fields at the top, the row to the left, and the value fields in the middle. So let's start pulling these over there and see just how this data looks. We'll take the year, pull the year, place that right here. So we can see it's puts the years from 2008 to 2012 at the top. Next thing, let's look at the region, sales regions. So we'll take this, drag it over, and the rows to the left. There we have it. So we've got 3 different regions for this information: East, South, and West. And let's see, the next thing, let's look at, let's take the annual visits. Let's drop this into the fields, value fields. So we can see, put the number of visits total. In 2008, there were 261 visits in the East region. So I would like to look at this information that we see right here as an average. By default, Excel automatically sums this up for the values. So what we can do to change this, so we're looking at an average, we can double click right here. So you see it pulls up the value field settings window. Then we can select average, and let's change the number format a little bit. Just make it 1 decimal place. There we go. So we hit OK. Hit OK again. So we can see what happens is it's changed these to an average. Good way to read it. In 2008, East region, each customer visited the stores 5.2 times. So when we're looking at this data, we can see that there has been, in the East region, that there has in fact been a decline. So we go from 2008, 5.2, an average of 5.2 times each customer, visited the store down to 2.0. So this is a good information to look at. Business managers and analysts would want to know a little bit more, try to dive down and find out what's going on. So what we can do is we can isolate just this region. So we go to the filter right here and we'll deselect all. Then we'll select East, so we can just look at the East region. So there we have that. And let's pull some more information over, some more data, and figure out what's going on. Let's start here, nearest company store in miles. So we'll pull this over, put this in the field. Yeah, and this, it's trying to put it horizontally. Well, we can look at it like this. It just makes it a little difficult. So we're going to change this so we can look at it a little bit easier. So we're going to take the value in this pane over here. You can easily do it up here, but I'll take the values and I'll drop this right in here. So we can see what we're looking at now. Average number of annual visits for the East region. We also have the sum. Let's change this to make this a little bit more consistent. So we can double click this cell right here. Go to average. Change the number format. Just one decimal place will be fine. Hit OK and OK again. So now we can look at and say the average of nearest company store in miles in 2008 was 8.1, but in 2012 it was 10.6. That was the average number of miles the customers had to travel. So we can see it went from 8.1 to 10.6. This can have quite an impact in terms of the amount of sales that is done. So let's look at the competitor. Let's see what's going on with our competitors. So we are going to, we're going to put this right here in the fields dialog box. There we go. Okay, so let's change this. Let's make this an average, and just one decimal place will be fine. And there we go. Hit OK, and then OK again. So now we can look at our competitors. In 2008, the nearest store in miles was 8.1 for our store. For our competitors, it was 14.4. But in 2012, we can see that our competitors were 8.3 and ours was 10.6. So this is good information to generate ideas of what is going on in terms of sales. So that is essentially what I have for developing pivot tables. I try to keep it very simple. So I do hope this tutorial helps. Thank you.